Able to connect back up with Stepanishev, and then it is rolled back in by Shuryayev. Pete Peters behind, along to Chikrin, dumps it back off, controlled by Kravchuk. Turned along for the pass by Shuryayev, and trying to step his way through with Shastini. But offside is called against the Soviets. You know, we've had some icings tonight, but very few offsides in this game.
You know, until 1988, the most Soviets ever drafted in one National Hockey League draft year was 5. That was in 1983, and the big names win in 83. Fetisov, Makarov, Kasatonov, and Tretsiak. Then in 1988, 11 Soviets were drafted, and last year 18 overall were drafted. And I think there's kind of an irony in the sense that the first Soviet ever drafted by a National Hockey League team was drafted by the Philadelphia Flyers in 1975, and it took 3 years before the next one was drafted. His name was Viktor Hatulev, and he was drafted out of their Division I league, not their elite league.
Puck shoveled high, and it plops on back. In 1975, and that was after all of the flare-up, but before some of it that followed with the Soviet Red Army and Flyers game in '76, but after a very emotional Team Canada Soviet series in '72. All the way back it'll come near Mikhailovsky again with 7:55 to go in the third. What do you think that we've learned over the period of time from the Soviets?
Boy, well, I know for a fact that we've learned from one another. We have learned things such as the weave coming through the neutral zone. We've also learned of the importance of defensive play in the neutral zone. It was given the name neutral zone because nothing was ever done in it except skated through. Well, not any longer. You see teams like the Flyers pull back on their forechecking and forecheck in the neutral zone and things of that nature there. So we also learn how to play as a unit at times too, defensively, especially defensively, so that teams can't spread your defense out. And when you move as a unit, as a five-man unit defensively, boy, you're tough to get anything done against.
Beekhoff on, there was the pass on through, and Homotov left it behind. Samuelson able to slow it for Sullivan. Oh, and then a giveaway. Turning with it now is Homotov, given a good hit in the corner by Murray Barron. Circling is Kamensky, and it's Beekhoff. Locked up by Murray Barron and just wrestled to the boards and glass. 7.5 minutes to go in the third, and the Soviet Red Army team leading the Flyers here 5-4. There have been no leads by 2 goals. Every lead has been by just 1. That's the type of contest we've seen. Flyers with 16 shots, the Soviets with twice that in number. They outshot the Flyers 9-6 and 11-6 in the prior 2 periods. Petrov couldn't get that one. And it is Huffman. Biakin right after him, and a pass cut off by Malakhov. Feeds it ahead for Petrov, but Samuelson just outreached him. Konstantinov heads back to play it for the Soviets across to Malakhov. Shift change on has brought out Norman Lacombe to work on the wing. It is dumped back in deep, and going for it now is Murphy. And Horacek, who's really been throwing his weight around, sometimes to excess and sometimes to a fault tonight. Just drew a check now. Down to the ice went Acton. There'll be a Soviet penalty coming up. They touch, and the Flyers will go on a power play with the key point in the game, perhaps, coming right up. 6:27 to go in the third. It's the Soviets angered.
Flyers have a chance here to climb back in. Top of your screen, Keith Acton is hooked down by Sergei Fedorov, number 18. And you know what Fedorov was arguing as he went to the penalty box? He was saying, my stick was held, and that's exactly what did happen, but Van Hellemond didn't see it. A bonus for the Flyers. This is the second time Fedorov has been penalized in this hockey game. He's their best penalty killer, so he gets to sit while the Flyers attack a penalty-killing unit that is still pretty strong, but without their top penalty-killing forward.
Flyers use Sutter, Prop, Eklund, Huffman, and Murphy. Murphy has moved up as the 4th man for this faceoff. Off the tie-up, it is Shuryayev firing it around the boards. They work with Davidov up front. Also there is Kostichkin, and in back Shuryayev and Kravchuk. Kravchuk sees that one poked through him by Eklund. Coming across though is Shuryayev, and it is cut off by Prop and laid back to Huffman. 6:05 to go in the third. Flyers with a power play opportunity here. They trail by 1. Scrapping for that one and coming up with it is Ron Sutter. Taken to the corner by Shuryayev. Able to punch it behind to Prop. Prop given a good hit there by Kravchuk. Prop still working along the board. Shuryayev is there. Kostichkin has trouble. And it is Prop then to Eklund to the point to Huffman. Huffman flips one that squids loose off of Kravchuk, and he's able to lift it high and back down. You know, the Soviets, when they're killing penalties, especially this team, they don't do anything fancy at all. They make sure they get it down every time. A lot of NHL teams will look for that pass and try for an offensive break.
Very seldom will you see this team do that. Very seldom will you see them hit a pad or a stick or anything when they're trying to dump it out. Usually it's clean all the way down.
5 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the third. Power play time is down now to 50 seconds. And it is broken by Samuelson's pass on to Mellanby. Moving with Horacek and Dave Poulin. Mellanby has Poulin headed to the net. The pass to Samuelson. Moves right in a backhander. Oh, and it's fought off. Behind the net, up with it is Mellanby. Samuelson glides back to the point. He had the big play on his stick, and he got a good shot away. That was blocked off by the goaltender, and then Carpenter, a shot saved. Rebound, and it is cleared but not out. Samuelson winds up and shoots. Deflected in front. Picked off by Horacek. Back to Samuelson. Drive, and that one kicked loose in front. Bekoff got his skate on that one. Samuelson a shot. Blocked by the defense. Rebound. Poulin a backhander. Knocked down by Gusarov. And trying to trap it and able to hold on is Mihailovsky. Oh, and Mellanby going right after Motkov. They fired, and they fired, and they fired. And Mihailovsky did not have that many get all the way through to him.
I'll tell you who blocked a couple of good ones, too, was number 19, Little Bekoff. He did a great job, but he got caught in deep. That's why he had to go down and block. But I thought Big Shell Samuelson's arms were going to fall off from fatigue. Here's a chance for Samuelson. You know, he could have gone to his forehand here, but he stayed on the backhand. He had a whole bunch of room to go to his forehand, but didn't see it. He made it back to his point position and ended up taking 3 big blasts in succession from the point, only one of which got through. Here's Tony Horacek in front. Big 5, Gusarov is trying to hold him off. Terry Carpenter had a chance. Moved in, tried to go high to the glove. That time, Mihailovsky stood up, and if he hadn't stood up, he would have gotten burned. Here's Big Sammy's blast from the point. There's Bekoff out in front, blocking.
Boy, that's a good look at all that play in front. And Horacek got a cross-checking penalty, and the Soviets have begun what is their third power play of the game. Neither team has connected on the man advantage. Clock, the enemy of the Flyers right now. It shows 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the third. Soviets have the lead at 5-4. Davidov left it behind, tries to regather, but it is long for Fedorov, and then on a cross for Konstantinov. Blocked loose by Samuelson. Flung back down by Dave Poulin. Shift change on for the Flyers. Acton and Eklund come out. So does Chikrin. So also does Murphy. Soviets wheel back up on the power play. It's dealt back in by Biakin. Set up by Peters. Turned loose by Murphy. And all the way down it goes. Now at the points, they're using Shiryaev and Kravchuk, the same two that they had in a penalty-killing role earlier. Petrov is out now, along with Fedorov. The puck carrier is Biakin. Feeds it on a cross, and the shot back around goes by Kravchuk. Kicking it loose is Petrov, but it's taken by Murphy. Petrov right on him. Trying to jam it loose is Fedorov. Still the puck loose, and Petrov tries to jam it to the front of the net, but it's Murphy tying it up the back. Now they're able to work it to the point. Shiryaev fires one, stick save Peters as he stood tall there. Kept alive by Fedorov. On back for a shot by Shiryaev. Pad stop Peters, and he'll hang on. 23 seconds still to kill for the Flyers, and the scoreboard clock shows 3:01 left in the third.
You know, I wonder if Viktor Tikhonov is keeping his top unit off of this power play because they're not as good defensively. Looks like he might come out with them now. Maybe not. Homutov is out there. Yeah, he's got his #1 unit out there, but he has used 3 different units on this power play. Here's the last big shot that came from Shiryaev right in on Pete Peters. Good block out there by Jeff Chikrin. Davidov was trying to get in front. Boy, Davidov has a bunch of speed and a whole bunch of skill.
Well, Ron Sutter says they get pretty big at this point. He'll have another important one to take. Maybe the very last one on this short-handed situation for the Flyers. 20 seconds they have to kill off yet, as it is Gusarov flipping for Homutov, but instead he winds up with Kartner. Terry Kartner's pass, gloved down by Poulin. Plays one ahead, and that one trickled loose, and coming way out of his net to dive on top is Mihailovsky, and there'll be a face-off near him with just 8 seconds to go, so that virtually takes care of the rest of the Soviet power play.
You know, I mentioned that this hockey team will be spending a day in New York tomorrow and then flying home the next day, Thursday, including Mihailovsky. But the guy that's backing him up tonight, Arthur Urbe, is leaving tomorrow. pretty good reason, too. He's getting married on Friday. So he's jumping the gun by about 24 hours. So while his goaltending mate Mihailovsky is spending a day in New York, he's going to be going back to get ready for the big day on Friday.
2:40 to go, and on that matrimonial note, the Red Army reaches center ice, drops it off, but ahead with it now is Chabirev, unable to fight his way by Karkner. Flipped out and gloved along by Ron Sutter. Smith trying to get to it, but it's tapped off. The teams are back at full strength now. 2:25 to go in the third, and the Red Army leading the Flyers 5-4. Here's Mellanby moving in to Sutter, a shot, and that one fought off as it went by Mihailovsky. Rolled back around to Mellanby, tries to get to the front. Oh, and he had Smith breaking in there, and it's lifted right back out by Homutov, and to get it is Samuelsson. Kjell Samuelsson pivoting behind his net as Karkner went down at center ice, and the fans were complaining. Meanwhile, the Flyers are able to bring it back up in the person of Mellanby, along with Eklund and Smith. That's the line, but the Soviets just break it down at their line. 1:50 to go in the third. Puck rattled back around the boards, and it's controlled by Malakhov for the Soviet defense. They have Kostichkin out there now. He's one of their better defensive players. Takes a whack from Murphy, but tries to get ahead. Kostichkin moving in. He's got Davidov, but the pass came right to Huffman. Checked down, though, by Davidov. Davidov defended by Brian Propp. Nice strip of the puck from him, but the Soviets keep it alive. Then a shot is blocked down from the point as Chabirev let that one go, but it's Murphy bringing it back. Pass back checked away by Davidov, and he'll head back with 1:20 to go. Davidov trying to worm his way around, and now just carries back out to neutral ice. Good puck carrying show by Evgeny Davidov with 1:10 to go. And the Soviets playing a little keep away here. It is Fedorov turning at the line. Rolling it back across to Kostichkin. That one tipped loose from Petrov, hooked up by Murphy. They want to get Peters off. 54 seconds to go in the third period. The Flyers have to have one to force overtime. Can they do it? Huffman controlling. Has Mellanby in the glide near side, but will just control now and try to wind his way out. Flips one for Eklund, but that went by him. Shift change on. Barron and Samuelsson come out for the last run at it. Poulin and Berube and Ron Sutter are out as well. Half a minute to go. They've not gotten Peters off yet. Puck dropped around, and Peters able to stop it. Shovels one up the boards, and Kamensky cut it off. Valery Kamensky stripped to the puck by Poulin. Tries to start it ahead, but can't. Now Berube on to Sutter. Here comes Peters to the bench. Sutter has it fought off his stick by Bykov. Oh, and then a hit on Bykov by Dave Poulin. Puck flipped away, and Karkner has it. 10 seconds to go. Terry Karkner has to rag it to keep play alive, and then it's forced off by Bykov. Bykov brushes one that goes back down, and the Red Army team is going to win this one. The horn sounds, and the tour for Red Army is over. They lost exciting in the closest one of all here tonight from the Flyers by a score of 5-4. And there's a guy who doesn't play that often, but he came up in a big role for the Soviets tonight.
No, Maxim Mihailovsky was a guy we didn't know much about. The tendencies were evident. He went down on the first shot. The Flyers had trouble getting to a lot of the second shots, and he was able to make some big saves when he had to.
The final score in the game: the Soviet Red Army 5, the Flyers 4. We now pause for